Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel. I do have my coffees, so we are going to dive into a book that is called When the Iris is Pink, and it is a dystopian story by Oscar O'Rourke. Now, I wore a shirt that had some pink on it, and then I was going to wear some sunglasses that are pink and they're kind of heart-shaped, but I left them in the kitchen whenever I was pulling myself together. But we're going to dive into this novella and go from there. So, When the Iris is Pink, a dystopian story, a teen boy is forced to reconcile what he knows and what he thinks he knows when he finds out that he might be infected with a virus he was told caused the end of the world. He must attempt to survive while also attempting to please his puritanical and self-centered parents, while also caring for his younger siblings. This is a story about truths, lies, perceptions, and survival, set in rural Washington state. And it says this is Oscar O'Rourke's third novella. He is a writer known for his fluid prose and cerebral, engaging storytelling. He generally writes in the horror, drama, and fantasy genres. Now, the Kindle edition says it's 206 pages. I think when I read the advanced reader copy, well, I don't think it's an advanced reader copy because this book was released last year in May of 2024. But I did receive this on NetGalley as an option to read. And so I opted in, seemed like a cool premise, cool title. And I also thought about wearing my pink colored contacts that I have, but thought I would save that for a cosplay later on this year. So kind of thought I would hold off on them. They're good for about a year once you open them, depending on how much you wear them. I am a contact wearer usually I just wear clear. Today I have some in that just make my eyes a little bit bluer, but I just like to play with the colored contacts. But I did think about turning my irises pink today. But let's dive in, because this book was awful in some really good ways, I think is a good way to put it. So I do give this 4 stars. So as I talk about this story, and it sounds like I'm critiquing it, I may be critiquing it a little bit, but I overall enjoy the story, and I do give it 4 stars. The book, or the novella, since it's about 200 pages in a Kindle edition, goes really quickly, because I want to say on my e-reader, on the NetGalley app, it was only about 70-ish pages. So I hope I got the full thing, but so much happens. And so we dive in with the teen boy named Arthur, who lives with his parents, his father Leo, his mom Laura, and his brother and sister Beatrice and Beau. Now, this is a very puritanical, very religious family. His father is a zealot. And so everything that Arthur seems to know about the world outside of his family's little homestead is something he learned from his father. So Arthur learns about this virus, that it would turn people's irises pink and it would change their personality or something according to his father. And so, of course, then those who weren't infected had to remove those who were infected because they were sinners and it was done by the devil. And of course, this is this sort of prophetic writing or what have you that was written by another religious zealot. And so his father is religiously obsessed with this text that was written, which states that the people who get this pink iris virus are of the devil, are tainted or corrupted. In a way, he talks about them like they're zombie-like, that they can't control their violent urges and all this sort of thing. So one of the things that is a telltale sign, if you possibly have it, is your toes get longer and your irises turn pink. So I think one of the first stages is that your toes get longer. And so I thought that was very interesting. Well, Arthur's a little worried because, again, they live on a homestead and his shoes are really tight. Um, and honestly, he kind of thinks it's more that he's just growing out of them. He tries to tell his dad that, hey, I'd love if we could take time to like stretch out my shoes because they're like uncomfortable. And his dad pretty much tells him, well, you need to find time to do that yourself. And he's like, well, I don't know how. And it's like, just figure it out. His dad is not a kind man. He is not a nice man. He is absolute, I'm just going to tell you, garbage. He is a garbage human being in general. As a parent, he is awful. He is the type of parent that you want thrown under the jailhouse. And one of the reasons being for that is his daughter Beatrice, who is the second, so it's Arthur, Beatrice, and Beau. Beatrice is pretty much kept in the doghouse, like literally a doghouse out in the yard. She is not given food when the family has food unless the mother brings it out to her. And they have a weird thing, a weird religious belief where a man cannot lay hands on another woman who is not his wife, sort of thing. And so they interpret that as, so the father can't, CA his daughter, which is what he really wants to do, and the mother handles it. It's really disturbing, really disturbing. But you see this, again, this religious, zealous mindset. And Arthur is really on the fence as to whether he really wants to follow this. He does, you can see that he's got questions in his mind, but also the mother doesn't seem as overly committed to this religious belief as the father, but the father is a violent individual. And again, this is a fairly short book, so I'm not going to try to give you a step-by-step or play-by-play, but I don't think it's a spoiler to tell you that because Arthur thinks that his toes are getting longer and he gets really worried, he does remove one of his own toes. Like, he thinks, okay, well, I'm just going to nip it in the bud, literally, by cutting off the toe that is being offensive. He thinks, okay, well, if I remove it, kind of like a gangrenous limb, then maybe it won't spread to the rest of me. Well, let's just say, maybe he really is infected, maybe he's not infected. That's kind of part of the premises of the story as well, is he or isn't he? And so things really go in very odd directions, but in very interesting directions as well, because we do question at times just the general humanity of Leo the father and whether he has actually been telling the truth or whether his religious belief has actually blinded him to the truth about what this virus kind of is. And everybody in this story has a very interesting, powerful sort of character development, even though it's very short. I would say probably we don't get a lot about Beatrice, but she's again been kept in the doghouse, like chained to a doghouse, and her father does not want her to come in because she's pretty much worthless to him until he can sell her off like cattle to a husband. And that also felt very, very gross in my personal opinion. I understand that was a way back in the day practice. We are now in the 21st century. We hopefully don't do that anymore, although I do worry sometimes about the way things are going. However, the writing is incredibly rich. It is powerful. It is emotion packed. It pulls at your anger and your sorrow, and you feel bad for characters and you feel hatred for characters, and you just want to reach into the pages and just shake them. And I think when a writer is able to create characters that dynamic, it's a great writing aspect to run across. Not everybody creates characters that you truly like. It's like being an actor when you truly hate a character that the actor has been able to portray, and I guess Umbridge would probably be one of those. It's like I feel bad for the actress who who portrayed Umbridge, but gosh, everybody hated her so much more than Voldemort, and she just had this impeccable like this impeccable way of acting that out. And I think there's other actors as well out there who have just been able to portray a bad guy so well that like you almost vicariously blame the actor for being so good at his job. And I truly think the writer in this story is so very good, because it is a very intense story that you do want to reach into those pages and just, help these characters in whatever way you can. There's a lot left unanswered. It's a novella, so we only get this very pinhole view of this overall story. We don't know kind of what led up to this. We don't really know what happens after. Again, it is a very small snapshot, and in my personal opinion, I would have loved it to be expanded out so we could maybe have a little bit more. I don't know. I think it is a standalone from what I can understand, but if he wanted to expand it, there is also potential for that as well. We could tell the backstory of this particular virus. We could tell beyond the end of this story what happens next. All of it very intense, very interesting, but I just ran across this because it felt as though it was a novella that has not been talked about in, book talk circles or YouTube booktuber circles. And I love being able to read books that maybe people don't run across so often. And it also helps to highlight some writers who may go under the radar. I actually had two writers reach out to me in this past week who would love for me to read their works, and so I have agreed. And I know one of them has said that they have sent their book. The other one was having some issues sending it, but no worries. I am probably going to just go on Amazon and buy it anyway, so I can support them in whatever way I can. I do look forward to reading those books, but I'm not going to talk about them just yet, since we don't have too much left in April. We have about 10 days left in April from the day I'm recording this. Then may have to save those books till May to get reviews, but I do plan on reviewing them once I receive them. But until next time, I want to thank you all so much. I know this is just a little bit shorter than some of my others, but that's because this book is a little bit shorter, and I hate spoiling things, so I don't want to go on and on too much longer. Just be aware that there is some CA involved in this, and it is a very intense emotional story. So those are some of the trigger warnings that I feel like I should probably share with you all. And until next time, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Again, if you have not liked and subscribed, I hope you will, and I will see you all on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.